Transcripts and recordings of the podcast may not be used for any purpose without the direct written permission of the podcast owner. Welcome to LITE It Up, a podcast about resilient women balancing motherhood, their careers, personal lives, and all of the challenges that come along with being a superwoman. Each week, you'll be motivated to take action to lead, inspire, transform, and empower. Now, here's your host, Dr. Aginah Musherah. Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of LITE It Up. I am your host, Dr. Aginah Musherah. I am so very excited to be with you all this week because it's been a while. It's been actually a couple of weeks because I missed releasing an episode last week, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So I'll have to explain myself. But it's been a while also since I've had an opportunity to have a solo chat and just kind of bring you guys up to speed about what's been going on in my world and what I've been up to. So as much as I love having guests on the podcast, I also love just having an opportunity just kind of chat it up with you all. But I want to thank you all for tuning in to the last episode of LITE It Up, which was released, I believe it was on October the 10th, in honor of my mom's birthday. My mother, Aginah, was my guest, and it was my very first time interviewing my mother. And I'll just say that that was a very interesting experience. It was a little bit of a challenge because sometimes it can be hard um, talking to your parent, knowing that what you're going to talk about is going to be shared with other people. But it's nothing like, I guess, allowing uh, outsiders into a conversation, one-on-one conversation with your parent. But I will say that I did enjoy having the opportunity to talk to her. If you missed the episode, make sure you go back and check it out. But we talked about her experience of being a mother, being a wife, and just how that experience was for her. And there was something that was that stood out, I think, um, very prominent for me, was my mom's statement about sacrificing herself to be a mother to both my brother and I. And then, of course, her role as a grandmother to not only my children, but my brother's children as well, who are now adults. So it was just an interesting conversation and gave me an opportunity really to reflect on what we as women go through and what we sacrifice in order to make sure our families are intact. And one of the questions that I asked my mother was whether or not she had any regret. Um, and without a shadow of a doubt, she said that she did not. And I know that, when you're for, I guess, women of my generation, Gen Xers, we have tried to find that happy medium between balancing our professional lives, being a mother for those of us who are mothers, and then that whole aspect of having a personal life. And if you listen to the intro of Light It Up podcast, I talk about how Light It Up is designed for women who are balancing motherhood, their careers, and their personal lives. And so it was really good to have my mom on the episode and just kind of talking through some of the sacrifices that she made in her life to ensure that she was a committed partner to my dad for well over 50 years until his untimely departure. But also as she has approached and made it another year, just trying to figure out now in her early 70s, what does life look like for Amina after having raised children and helped to be a supportive grandmother? What is her life like now? And again, that conversation just led me to kind of think about as I begin to enter the space of where I'm counting down to being an empty nester. I've gone on record as saying that 2025, my youngest, who is a junior in high school, will be going off to college. And some people have said that I'm a little too excited about that, but uh, I am excited. But I am also, as I prepare for what life will be like, I've had people that ask me, um, you know, what I'm going to do with my life outside of my children, because they are certainly a major part of my life and all of the decisions that I've made um, professionally. Even now, to this day, when I'm trying to decide, can I commit myself to participating in this organization, or do I have the bandwidth to uh, present at a conference and still try to navigate making sure that my daughter, who's at home with me, that she's going to be well taken care of if I have to travel or if I'm away or things of that nature. So it's a lot that goes into, of course, being a parent, but still trying to make sure that you're present for your professional, various professional aspects, as well as the personal. Um, but uh, what I have found, I will just say this, is that sometimes you can overextend yourself. And I've talked about that with a couple of people who have reached out to me just to kind of check in and see how things are going. And I have been open and honest and transparent in acknowledging that I am overextended. Um, and sometimes I have to stop and ask myself, why are you committing to this? What purpose is it going to serve for you to commit yourself to these, to the, um, whenever someone has asked me to do something? Um, I will say this, with any and everything that I do, there's purpose behind it. So, if there's an opportunity for me to help someone or shed light and impart knowledge, um, then I am going to commit to that. But let me just say that sometimes that comes with a price. And as I mentioned when I opened up, I missed last week. I did not release an episode. And as much as I tried to, the universe was just not working in my favor. It started out where I had such an overwhelmingly busy weekend with and week, quite honestly, with work and different commitments, that I didn't have an opportunity to sit down to record an episode. And then I'd made plans to release the episode later in the week, towards the end of the week. And when last Friday rolled around and I was going to record, I couldn't because my laptop was not working. The screen was completely black. Um, I knew that my laptop had been on the charger and I could not understand what was happening. Um, yeah, it just wasn't power on. And so I took my MacBook to the Apple store, made an appointment to figure out what's happening. Um, and when I took the MacBook in to the Apple store, they ran a diagnostic test, and then they connected. They found that there weren't any issues in terms of the hardware. So that was great. Like there was no water damage, and they ended up hooking up my MacBook to another computer to make sure that power was generated to the MacBook. When it powered on, there were like all of these different tabs where I've been working on different things, whether it was a Google Doc spreadsheet, Sign Up Genius, where I was creating that for the parents who volunteer for the parent association that I'm the president of. Emails, I can't even begin to tell you how many different emails I have. I have my work email, I have a personal email, I have just my regular email, and then I have an email for LITE It Up podcast and when I am connecting with guests and for my business of selling my books. Um, but there were at least, I'll say, I don't know, I'm going to say about 20, 30 tabs just open, right? And the tech said to me, what happens is you've had all of these tabs that were open that's running. So that is pulling power. And of course, it's slowing down the processing system of the device. And the system became overloaded to the standpoint that it had to shut down to prevent the MacBook from overheating. And as I was standing in the Apple store listening to this, I immediately thought about how we are as individuals, how we can um, overextend ourselves. And, we're involved in so many different things that you can become overloaded. And what happens is when you don't allow your body to rest, whether it's your mind like constantly racing with different things that you have to do or things that you haven't done that you have to remember to do, at some point, you're going to shut down. You're going to become exhausted and shut down. When you're overloaded, it's just like an electronic device, right? It's where the service exceeds the recommended limits. And just like this computer device, your phone or what have you, your laptop, desktop, and as an individual, we all have limits. Everything that we deal with day to day, you can only push something for so long, just like a car. If you don't keep the oil changed, or if you don't have that routine checkup or tune up, at some point, the car is going to stop accelerating. It's going to stop running. It's going to stop moving. And so with the computer system, your body, your brain is, right, the computer system that can become so overloaded. That's where this surge occurs, and either your computer stops performing at the high premium quality that it once performed at, or it won't perform at all. Um, and so that was a lesson that I learned, where I didn't take the time for my device that I use for this podcast and for other aspects of my work. I did not take the time to kind of go through each one of those tabs and shut down what I didn't need to use any longer, or what to shut down the tabs that once I was done using them. And because of that, I caused my MacBook to overload and it just shut down. And that was a lesson for me, again, to find ways to stop overextending myself and to just take that time to kind of shut down, regroup, and recalibrate so that I can perform um, at the highest potential possible. Um, so the downside is that I missed out on releasing an episode last week. I try to be as consistent as possible. That is important to me, to bring you quality content weekly. But I also am comfortable and okay with extending myself grace that if I can't make the deadline, I just can't make the deadline. And so I hope that as you all uh, anxiously await for new episodes to drop, that if there is a week that goes by and there isn't an episode released, that you extend me grace and know that there is a very good reason why there is not a new episode of Light It Up. I can tell you that there is a possibility that for the next couple of weeks, I may need to be on hiatus, but depending on how I can work things out, who knows? I may not have to be, but I've got a lot of exciting things that are going on over the next couple of weeks, which um, will result in me traveling just a little bit. Of course, I always got to get um, some relaxation time. Not sure if I'm going to have any time for relaxation. It's going to be pretty much all work, but that's okay. It's all for um, it's all for good things. Um, I just, wanted to kind of share with you all what was going on. I never want to leave you all hanging in a lurch, wondering why there isn't a new episode that is released. As we kind of wind down to 2023, um, I will be bringing on some other guests so that we can kind of talk about different things that are going on or in preparation for 2024. I've gotten some really great feedback about potential guests. So right now it's just a matter of getting those guests lined up and in preparation for upcoming episodes. So I just wanted to take this time to just say thank you um, for continuously supporting my efforts with Light It Up. Also, thank you to those of you who had an opportunity to listen or view the interview with my mom. I really appreciate the comments, the text messages or Facebook inbox messages that I've received. So greatly appreciated, and even the emails that I've received. So thank you so very much for taking the time to acknowledge and to provide your feedback. Really appreciate it. And then, and I would be remiss also if I didn't talk about some of the other guests that I've had on the podcast. I had Robert Owens, um, who's a phenomenal artist. I also had Algernoy Alexander, who is a great motivational speaker and consultant. And it seems like I'm missing some other people right now that the names are escaping me at the moment. But um, we are going to be gearing up for some really great guests who are going to be on Light It Up podcast to kind of wind down and wrap up 2023, and then gearing up, of course, for 2024, which will be a whole brand new season. We'll be celebrating 4 years of the podcast, and I can't even believe it's actually been that long. So as we're in the last quarter of 2023, this is also a time for reflection and preparation for the upcoming year. And yeah, like I said, it just hit me that I'll be celebrating 4 years of LITE It Up pretty soon. January 20th, 2024 is my anniversary. So time flies when you're having fun, and I am certainly having fun with LITE It Up podcast, and I hope you are too. So I am going to put a pin in it because there's really not much more that needs to be said. But again, thank you so much for continuing to rock with me every single week. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the podcast so that you'll receive a notification every time there is a new episode released. And you can check out LITE It Up every Tuesday, new episode, wherever you stream your favorite podcast, which of course, I hope that it is LITE It Up, lead, inspire, transform, and empower. So until next time, please continue to light it up and shine bright like a diamond. Thanks for joining me this week on LITE It Up. Make sure you visit my website at www.liteituppodcast.com or www.aginahmuhammad.com. You can also find me on social media using the handle @LITEItUpPodcast. If you like what you've heard, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, I'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or you can simply tell a friend about the show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for a new episode. Until next time, light it up and shine bright like a diamond.